back to my channel. If you guys are new, my name is Bahati. For today's video, we are gonna be going through wedding hacks that we all need to save you thousands, I mean thousands, on your wedding. So I got married about 2 weeks ago. It was an incredible day, literally everything that I could have possibly wanted it to be. But one thing I was so grateful about that day is that I did not have to spend God knows how much to make it possible. Like, weddings cost on average I think $20,000, which is really kind of like for one day, I don't know. But anyway, to each their own. I wasn't really about that because there are just other things I would rather spend my money on, to be honest, especially just living in a very consumerist driven society. Basically, I mean, I live in America. I'm originally from Kenya, so even the concept of just spending money just like that and just for the sake is not really like, it's just something I really grew up with. But I just want to share with you guys some tips that can help you save a lot of money, especially if you're in the States. The wedding culture or the wedding industry here is very, the whole point of it is that they want you to spend as much money as you can. Because it's funny, it's like you can ask for flowers for a birthday dinner and it'll cost something, but if you say it's for a wedding though, it's gonna cost almost twice or thrice the amount that it would be if it was a birthday dinner. So with that in mind, some of the things I did, this is like a mini sub tip to my main tips, I guess. This is pretty random, but like, one of the things that I know helped me is not defining my wedding as a wedding to vendors. I would just say, hey, yeah, it's like a birthday dinner, or it's a party that I'm throwing with a few guests. Like, if you don't say the word wedding, then they'll give you a more accurate or realistic price point. But the minute you say wedding, they know that you are gonna spend whatever it is to get that item because, you know, it's a wedding. And I don't think everyone does that, but that's something I did come across. So I just want to dive into it and give you guys the deets because I just could not keep all this info to myself. And it does not mean being cheap. There's such a big difference. I mean, I still extremely care about quality a lot, but it's just like, there's just some things that are just not necessary. So yeah, let's just dive into the first one. Obviously, number one is just making sure that you are very comfortable with your guest numbers. I think 100 and less is considered small. My wedding only had maybe 45 people, and I mean, that obviously saved us a lot of money because each person takes an amount of space and you have to make sure that you're accounting for drinks and the chair and the decor and the napkin layout and like how many arrangements will be on the table if we have how many people on here. Like, it's just a whole different thing. So I think just starting off with numbers is just a conversation you should just have with yourself, your husband-to-be. So a wedding is a family affair, so you have to speak to the key people in the wedding about who they're also trying to invite. It's always good to have that conversation early instead of just kind of scrambling last minute, being like, oh, what? Like, I didn't know you wanted like these 10 people to come in. At the end of the day, it's your day. What's important is knowing that you're super comfortable with the guest numbers. Obviously, the smaller the wedding, the cheaper it is. It's pure math. So the second thing I did was not have any sort of wedding planner, wedding coordinator, wedding person trying to oversee my wedding. Now, I don't see that as a bad thing to have them involved because the wedding industry is big for a reason. There's a lot, okay? There's a lot to coordinate. There's a lot of logistics. If you're not super organized or you're not a planner or any of that, it can get extremely difficult and things can slip. So I definitely agree that you should really look into who you are as a person and who's on your team to see if you guys can have the wedding coordination down on your own. But if not, I would totally recommend definitely hiring one. They are not cheap though. They are very skilled professionals. Investing in one is definitely the move because it'll just take away a lot of stress from you, 110%. But I find with a lot of wedding planners, they come with vendors and they come with all these different costs, so you'll never know straight out the bat how much you'll be spending until maybe after, and then you'll be like, oh shoot, I didn't know that vendor was this much. I could have just gotten this guy who was cheaper. It's basically not under your control, so the budget can skyrocket, and it can be you're getting an invoice saying, hey, everything was this much, and you're like, hey. If you do get a planner though, I would recommend asking a lot of questions, a lot. They're definitely lifesavers, but it would be really easy for them to go over budget, especially when they're just trying to make you have the best day and you're being too nice, I guess. So another thing that helped me save a lot of money was location. So first of all, one major point is just getting your family and friends involved, and their connections is just number one. Like, that should be the top. Like, that can save you a lot of money, because that's how I ended up finding my the location of my wedding. I mean, I ended up paying $150 to keep the venue for the whole day. Like, that's madness. Especially when I just googled, you know, was just gonna be $5,000. Like, yeah, I mean, that's a crazy save. My mother-in-law actually had a friend who runs this clubhouse, which was just on this lake, and it was so hidden, and it was very casual, like no rules. You know, there's some locations that actually say, if you're gonna have a wedding here, just know that catering has to be done by us, or, you know, they have just specific rules. But for us, we just got the location as it is, especially because we also turned the ceremony into the reception. That was also a big one. You know, one thing I didn't realize about the ceremony was that it's only like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And after that, it's just a whole big party. Like, it's just a reception. Figuring out the layout was really tricky, but there's pictures right here if you guys want to see how we did that. So the ceremony looked a certain way. We had all the dinner tables decorated with everyone's names and everything. And then by the time the ceremony was done, we just quickly did a shift, moved the chairs to the other side. I hope it was quick. I was like, I am not focusing on those logistics. I'm just gonna be a bride. But it was something I stressed about a lot. But if you have family and friends to help you, then they're just gonna make everything so much smoother. Basically, those are 2 points, and that's involving friends and family a lot. They helped so much. Like, there's no words to describe how much my family and friends helped. Like, everyone did something. And of course, don't ever force your family and friends to do that. Like, it has to come organically, but definitely helps. And I also saw this as a pretty good recommendation, is that if you are trying to plan a wedding pretty far in advance, you should try plan it when the weather is better. That way you can have an outdoor ceremony and have it somewhere just that you can kind of like control. I got married in winter, so there was no way we were trying to do something outdoors. So the fact that we found this venue was amazing. So when it comes to flowers, oh my gosh, I was so shook to find out that you can easily spend like $3,000 on flowers. Again, it depends on the size and everything, but what we ended up doing was just getting reference photos of what type of flowers we want, and we use a lot of greenery. So if you have a lot of greenery and you place flowers in between, it's just more filling, you know, and it just gives the illusion that there are more flowers than there are not. We didn't go to a florist. We literally just went to Trader Joe's the day before, got a bunch of flowers that we saw that were super affordable. I think Trader Joe's has the most affordable prices when it comes to flowers. And really my floral arrangements were not complicated. Like, I wasn't looking for like a specific yellow and red rose that transforms. Like, I just wanted it to be white, green, have like baby's breath, and a lot of eucalyptus and a lot of just greenery. So that's what I was going for, and we found all that at Trader Joe's, spending almost only $400 compared to $3,000, which is insane. And we got a lot. Like, we filled up my whole entire car with roses. I think there were just some left over. There were some that were used for outside. If you looked at the venue, you would not, you know, think that we were lacking in like floral arrangements or whatever. So that was a major tip that definitely helped a lot. So another thing that we did that was DIY that kind of set the mood was lighting. I got a bunch of lighting quotes that were, again, a couple of thousands of dollars. The ceremony and the reception were taking place during the day. It just really didn't make sense. You know, as much as it's a day that you're supposed to splurge or whatever, like, it's also good to kind of think about whether things make sense. As much as I was gonna get this lighting thing and whatever from this company that would have been beautiful, it really wouldn't have been seen during the day. Yeah, it's not something that they're gonna tell you, because you know, they want you to spend. So one thing that we did was really just look up what are the biggest mood enhancers or lighting options that are really affordable but still are transformative to a space. And that's really just playing with color, and those are those LED lights. If you guys can see here, like a photo, we had LED lights kind of set up in the whole room, and I believe we got them from Amazon actually. And by the way, everything that I'm talking about here I will link down below just so that you guys can have references. That was super simple to set up. We just literally just put them on the floor, kind of like hid them in some areas, just strategically put different colors that match the theme, and then just left them. And then as the sun was going down, the mood started, like the lights started getting more vibrant, which just added such a nice effect to it overall. And yeah, I mean, I was charged a quote of like 2,500, ended up buying maybe 7-8 lights for 30 bucks. So the math here, guys, it's crazy. All right, so this one is important too, especially to me as a creator and someone who actually is in the creative industry. I was having a really hard time kind of deciding between videography and photography. My ideal situation was to have both, but then the more I was looking into it, the more it just didn't make sense for the type of day I was gonna have. For instance, if you guys are kind of in between whether you should have a videographer or a photographer, my biggest advice to you is to go for a photographer, because first of all, of course, you just want photos. Photos are easy to hand out, easy to print, like a lot of people can have it, and it still captures the essence of the day. With videography, I think most videographers charge around 5,000, and I actually have a friend who's a videographer, a wedding videographer, who was giving me a deal of 3,000, which I was like, not something you can kind of negotiate with them. With photographers, you can just tell the photographer, hey, I just want pictures of the ceremony or the reception. Ideally, you want both because you just want to see, you know, you just want to capture the whole day. But if instead of them being there from the morning, you know, basically giving you a full day's rate, they can give you a half day rate. With videographers, you cannot do that because you're basically killing their flow. Videographers, especially wedding videographers, have a certain way of documenting wedding videos that starts with the bride getting ready, the groom getting ready. Like there's a certain story that they're trying to tell visually, so you can't just cut them off halfway and be like, hey, start from when the ceremony starts. Really, that's why a lot of videographers will not negotiate their hours, because it's just, yeah, it won't make sense for them at all, especially when they're trying to make a really beautiful video for you. So if you had to choose, I would say photography. We definitely got some videos, but it was more b-roll and very like casual style vlog, and I just didn't want it to be this whole curated thing. Yeah, just whatever you do, just make sure it fits the type of vibe that you're going for. So cake and food and all the yummy goodness. I actually have a really funny story about this that actually did end up saving us some money, and that's because the cake fell apart right when it arrived at the door. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's always something that's gonna happen, like without a doubt. So I think we had like a 3-tier cake, I believe, or 2-tier, but basically we paid for half of it, and then of course the other half, I don't know if I think most bakeries do this, they give you pay them the other half after it's been delivered. So our cake didn't make it, so we ended up saving some money, but I mean, it's obviously not the ideal way to save money. The top was fine, so what we ended up doing was just taking the top, and I've seen a lot of people do this too. They just take the top of the cake, or maybe a small portion of the cake, and use it for the cake cutting ceremony, and then either hand people cupcakes or something of the sort that's kind of more distributable. Is that a word? What? Basically, you know what I'm saying. For us, we ended up having half of the cake that was all a mess. So everyone ended up getting pieces of something. I mean, it's a funny way to save money, but definitely I see a lot of people doing cupcakes or handing out cookies, or just something that's way cheaper than having it be a tier, because obviously the higher and bigger it is, the more delicate, and it depends on all the frou-frou and all the decorations they're gonna have on the side. So if you're not really a cake person, I would say that's a pretty good place to save, and you can still get people to eat delicious treats just in a different form. Another tip that was so helpful, and this is definitely doing a lot of things online. In fact, it's funny because I was watching Adrienne Hotten's video, and she was saying how she spent over thousands on her wedding invites, and of course she's who she is, so she can do that. But I would recommend definitely doing stuff online if you can. So for my invitations, I ended up printing I had printed invitations that I was sending out physically to family members and, you know, people that are a little bit older that do appreciate those things. But I know like more people that are my age will, you know, touch the invite, be like, oh, this is cool, and then they'll never see it again. So I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna meet both worlds by creating both physical invitations and then sending everyone a digital invitation where they can RSVP, because the RSVP part is so critical. Like, I was chasing people last minute being like, yo, are you coming or not? Because it really just plays a huge factor on numbers and decorations and table setting, especially because it was such a small wedding. We wanted to be as intentional as possible with like who's sitting with who, how many people we're gonna put on this table. We wanted it to be as personalized as possible. So, but we can't do that if we don't know if you're coming. Sending out online links, it really did help kind of make the process faster, and it was obviously less expensive. And even my invites for basic invite were not pricey at all, and they were so gorgeous. And it's just something that's a keepsake that I know I'm gonna keep forever, and I know a lot of people like my parents and stuff will as well. So that helped a lot and saved me a ton of money, because I ain't Adrienne Ballon. Another tip that's super important, so kind of having all your numbers laid out is so helpful, so that A, you just don't, you know, kind of go over, and B, if you do save money, you can use it on other things that maybe you would like. I organize all my stuff on Google Docs and spreadsheets, and that way I was able to gauge, okay, we're doing good, we're on track, okay, that is too much, let's take it out, oh, that's good, oh my gosh, no. So it's kind of like, it just gives you a face value look into how much you're spending. Understanding your numbers is really just important for everything. So yeah, I will leave you guys with that final tip. Let me know what tip you loved, or what tip has helped you if you planned a wedding, or if you're planning a wedding, what are you looking to actually do. If you guys enjoy this content, please do not forget to subscribe and share and comment and like and do all that fun stuff. I'm gonna get some water because I have chatted. But I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!